the delay as well. So now it should click in much quicker.
Yeah. So nothing appearing right now.
No, not on the Word Distiller page. You go
And
back to
not
my LinkedIn where I'm streaming.
and not on is
Oh, I
live
just
right.
got a notification. The Word Distiller Copywriting and Coaching is live right now. So I just got that notification because obviously I'm signed up for the event. I can see it. I think we're live, Kirsten. We're live at least on the event page.
Yes, I got that notification too, but I can't see it on my business page.
I can.
Can,
It's
can
just
you
loaded on
type
your
it,
business page. And
Trevor?
Trevor says we're live. Hi, Trevor. Everyone's like, yes, we're listening. Get started. We had some technical problems the last time we were on, guys. So that's why we thought we'd join and not start talking too quickly. Can you hear me, Kirsten?
Can it be that we have some voice overlap here?
Maybe. Do you have anything open at the moment? Like, are you listening to one of the other?
Yeah, so this is
You have
amazing.
one of the tabs open. You probably want to either mute all of the tabs or
Yeah.
some of us have beds to get to, Nikki. We know it's late for you, Nikki. Thank you for joining us live from New York.
Alrighty, so I close one of these down. Okay, I can see it on my business page now. So I think we're ready to go, people. So so now you can see us a little bit bigger. Yes, we have an echo on the end, on our end. I think that was me. I have closed down one of my pages because I was a little bit schizophrenic about the whole event, and
It was
I was
because
thinking I need to know
LinkedIn
where.
didn't help last time. It's not your fault though.
Yeah. Okay, right. So the echo is gone, which is good. So hello everybody, and I'm so happy to have so many of you here. So what we're going to do today is we give you a little intro into who we are, because that not everybody knows both of us, and then we get going, and also give you Nadine will give you an overview what we're going to cover in this session. So let's go. I start with myself here. I'm a linguist, I'm a teacher, I'm a copywriter, a brand messaging strategist, and I've been in corporate a long time, so I'm a corporate dropout. I'm a yes.
I love that because I'm a corporate dropout too. So
Yeah,
love, but
yes.
I don't want to interrupt. Sorry.
I left. Oh no, that's good. I left that behind. And for the longest time, I didn't know that corporate wasn't the right thing for me. So it took me a while until the penny dropped. And I'm a strategic thinker, so my brain is always fired up, and I can't stop it working. I'm always thinking ahead and running through options. So that's just something that's happening in my brain all the time. I'm also a highly sensitive person, which I never knew, because people just told me all the time to suck it up and get on with it. So but the good side thing about it is that I process information on a very deep level, and that's something that I really love. So very reflective. I'm a crazy dog woman. I have two border collies. One of them is lying behind me. He's always joining me in all of my work things that I do. And well, you might hear I'm German actually, but I live in New Zealand. I've got a weird accent, so I hope you can cope with that. And my purpose here, and also why we're holding this live, is to listen, enlighten, and empower. So that's all about me. Nadine, over to you.
I'm going to keep the energy going. I am also a corporate dropout. I love that. I didn't know that you were going to say that, Kirsten, but it was so funny. I'm also a corporate dropout. It's just, it was not for me. I do love the structure, and I love being able to work with fantastic executives, people who are as smart as people like Kirsten. However, I think we all know the culture is not necessarily super healthy for a lot of us right now. So I went rogue not long ago, but I have been starting my own business and working for myself for a few years now, actually. Well, your accent is perfect, Kirsten, but my accent is not. So fun
It is.
story. I don't know how fun this is though, but it's funny for me. Every time I go to the US, people ask if I'm from Australia. I don't know if it's just that I'm not British enough, or I genuinely sound Australian. I don't know what it is, but everyone asks me, "Are you from Australia, New Zealand?" And I'm like, no, British. It's kind of really funny that people don't get that, but I am from England. I live in Mexico City, so we also probably have a bit of a funny accent here. I've been here since 2011, so we're both migrants, but I think the difference is that Kirsten took on the migration with children, no?
And dogs.
And dogs. I did not bring any children, furry or otherwise, with me, but I am a crazy cat lady. I'm a crazy cat mom, as you all know, avocado and toast. And my corporate history has been in marketing and editorial. So that's why I love writing. I do content marketing, do all sorts of marketing actually, but my genius zone, or what is it called that people say, like my genius area, zone of genius, is writing, is content marketing. And I love a bit of copywriting as well, taglines and all of that good stuff. So I actually met Kirsten through her course, which was helping me. I didn't know it was going to do this. I thought it was going to help me be a better writer in general. But one thing it really did was help me grow on LinkedIn. So that's why we're here. That's why I hope that we can help everyone else. And if you're listening to us, you can hear us. Please chat in. Tell us what are you hoping to get from this course while Kirsten's introducing what we're going to go through.
Yeah. So hold that thought, because why are we holding this workshop? So I was thinking about it a lot, and I looked at what people are saying. So there's a lot of time scarcity. People are struggling with creating content and find it quite demanding. Some say lack of engagement, lack of impact, writing better content in less time, writing authentic content that people love, creating warm leads, standing out with a clear differentiation, then not knowing how to cut through the noise, growing the networks, gaining followers, and building relationships that lead to sales. So those are some of the points that people were mentioning, and that's why we want holding this workshop. So now in the comments, if you write down why are you here and what do you want to get out of this workshop, that would be great. So now how are we going to run this session? So we're going to take this stage in turns, and we're going to head off with Nadine, and she's going to talk about social media storytelling. Then I'll be talking about creating quality content that lasts a long time or lasts you longer. Then Nadine will talk again about a consistent engagement routine. And I will afterwards finish off with creating a strategic content calendar. So takeaways will be understanding that quality is the foundations for standing out online, and especially here on LinkedIn, because there's too much rubbish content out there that just takes up our time but doesn't give anything back. That's what we want to change. Then also that strategy has an impact on how you show up with a goal in mind. That comes from how you engage every day, what you do to engage, and how to build up quality relationships. Then a place to get started with social media storytelling, because that's what some people tell us as well, that storytelling is a bit of a challenge. And okay, then we have also prepared a presentation for you. Here it is, this amazing presentation. So let's just quickly look at the comments, what we have. Trevor, we love you.
That's brilliant. Thank
amazing.
you. We appreciate it. Rachel, yeah, sustainable. Rachel says she's here to find a sustainable way, a sustainable system to posting, engaging. It is really draining. Totally get that. Thank you for tagging in Charlie Osborne. Lonnie, more people are very welcome.
Yeah.
And Lally looks, oh, thank you, Lally. Thank you for Lolly for bringing all these people in.
So what have we got here? I have no problem waving a table. It's just getting in front of peeps who, yeah.
Yeah, the tag
Yep.
game.
Yes, the tag game. Yeah, sometimes you have to do it. It's a function that you can use, and I think it's very helpful if you don't overdo it. So here, yeah, why should you shine online? We came up with this lovely tagline. It rhymes quite well. But when you show up online, you're fulfilling a purpose, you're serving your audience, and also you want to create leads and referrals. That we're not all here just for the fun of it. Everybody is running a business or wants to improve the business. So yeah, so to run a successful business that you love is definitely something why you should shine here. Then having a clear message. Sometimes we don't know what to talk about, what to say, does our audience really resonate with, and then also to show up with confidence and courage. That I think that's important, that you show up authentically. And so, question to you: what is hardest for you to achieve online? So what is the biggest thing that you say, oh, I would love to have that might be a little bit out of reach right now?
Chat in, everyone.
Yeah. So how do you shine online?
How do you shine online? Well, I'm just going to answer John Grabowski. He's maybe not hearing us, but quick tip, always just refresh everything, guys. Sometimes LinkedIn gets stuck. Let's invite Adams back in. Don't tell him to judge our slides, Trevor. We don't want judging on our slides.
What's wrong with the slides?
No, nothing. But Adam is very critical. No, he would be lovely. He'd be lovely.
Yeah.
And yeah, so today, shall I launch into it?
Yeah, so I see Sophie says batch producing in advance. Yes, batch producing is something that is quite an art. Not an art, it's a process if you have a process. So let's see. Let's move on to Nadine's part, and here we are. Bang.
Yes, perfect. Oh, and look, of course, everyone's chatting in now that we're going.
Knowing what to post and how often, yes, that's a biggie. Being seen by Amber, yes, that's something. It takes quite a while to get to being seen. These are so good. Thank you.
That's one thing that maybe we should say before we even get started. Patience is a virtue. It does take a while. And to do it organically, please don't start tagging people in, because that just means that then you won't actually get the reach naturally or organically. So it does take a while. You have to have patience, but it all comes back around. And of course, you maybe make a post one day and only 100 people see it, but then in a year's time, you can recycle the same post and make it even better. So it's never wasted. Never feel like just because you get 10 likes and that's it, it's wasted. So today I am going to tell you a few stories. I imagine Kirsten will as well, but most importantly, so will you all. You will all come away from this hopefully telling stories, and we're going to lead with this very buzzwordy storytelling topic. Hidden cats and coffee are very important, Trevor. I know that that's like a really key to a lot of the content, but you must not steal my idea. No, one tip is to just listen to your audience, and mine wanted hidden cats and coffee. So how can you choose a good story for LinkedIn without hidden cats and coffee? You need to think of something that's personal, vulnerable, and original. The way that you're going to do that is to think back to something. And I want to say, don't choose something that happened recently, because you need some perspective. No, hindsight is 2020. You do need something that you've got a little bit of distance from, that you can come to with a fresh mind and think of it perhaps from a different perspective. So if I had a bad day yesterday because I had an argument with my neighbors over noise, let's say a party, that's not going to make a good story today, because I'm still kind of angry about it. Whereas if I had an argument with my neighbors that we resolved later on, or that made me take a decision, that would make a much better story. So we're going to go through some examples on this presentation, and I'm going to ask Kirsten to click to the next slide, please.
Yes.
Because I'm going to tell everyone that we should be sharing struggles So struggles are not sob stories, okay? Struggles are a kind of story. And the reason that these connect so much with people, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why struggles make very good stories. You want to think back to something that was difficult for you that you overcame. And even if you didn't overcome it, it could still be a really good story. And why is this? Because you all know this. You will see everyone on LinkedIn talking about how I got to 10,000 a month in 2 weeks. Do you know what I mean? Like these kind of fake and also very unrealistic and very aspirational stories that are actually just so far removed from what we live every day. Whereas if we talk about a struggle, everyone can relate to that. And we also feel a need to rally around humans that are struggling. So if we talk about something that's vulnerable, that genuinely happened to us, people are more likely to engage with it. And I put on screen a couple of struggles here. So one is mine. It was me talking, the one in the middle is me talking about my struggle of learning flute as a child and a teenager. I don't have a musical bone in my body. I have no talent. So me getting to grade 8 flute, which is like the highest you can get in my country anyway, that was just sheer dedication, sheer practicing and struggling and pushing through until I got there. So I think probably anyone that had to learn an instrument when they were a child can relate to this. And even if you can't, maybe a sport or something like that. So that brings in the relatability. And it's interesting because I did actually get somewhere without having to be good at it initially. That's relatable, and a lot of people like that. Another story, top left here, is from Louise. She's fantastic. Her full name is Louise Kiragu. I'm definitely butchering that, but please look her up. She's lovely. And she shared this struggle of where she was talking about having long hair and wanting to cut it short. And the reason I'm sharing this is because she tagged me in it, kind of half blaming, half thanking me for helping her make this decision. She DM'd me and I think a few other people saying, I had long hair. I always loved having long hair, but now I just feel like it's too much to take care of. But everyone keeps telling me, don't cut your hair short. It won't look nice, you know, and all of the things that we tell women traditionally that you need to have long hair because that's what's feminine. And our prime priority in life is to be attractive, right? She was just saying, I just want to cut it short. And I think at some point I said to her, like, just do it. So she posted about the struggle of overcoming other people's expectations on her. Those expectations had nothing to do with what she wanted. And being able to overcome that and share this beautiful photo of her lovely short hair was a struggle that a lot of people really related to. And I think people remember these stories. If we can click over to the next slide, please. Thank you. So I'm going to tell you how to do this. And we're going to deal with storytelling. And Kirsten, please butt in if any of this. Oh, let me just have a quick look at the comments. I like to respond to current events. I don't want too much time. Okay, you guys are chatting away and helping each other. I'm glad, Lonnie, that you took flute too. It's so hard. It's a really difficult instrument to learn. Did you play anything as a kid, Kirsten?
Yeah, I played the, you call it recorder. It's some sort of flute as well.
Recorder, a little one, yeah.
Yeah, I even played a really big one. It was bigger than me at the time.
Oh.
But yeah, I liked it, but just gave up at one point. But with this struggling thing, so one thing I did when I did an MBA was that I took financial strategy. And that was something that wasn't suited to me at all. And that was a real struggle. That was a battle, but I passed, not gloriously, but that's what one of my biggest achievements today, that when you say, it clearly shows what you said. If you can succeed at something that you're not
you're gifted, yeah, not talented
gifted at, with sheer tenacity and work, I suppose. So that is, everybody's got this struggle somewhere. It's very relatable.
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad you think so. Yeah, I would have definitely not done very well in that class either. I played recorder as well, yeah, and then I did it's called a transverse flute here in Mexico, but we never got up to the big recorders. We didn't have that at my school. Hi, all the people that are joining us. Thanks for coming, Sam. I'm glad Dev cancelled on you. Hi, Susanna. Great. So you're reading ahead, Sam. I can see this. So I am going to actually go to my slide now that I've took a little detour.
Are we still okay on this slide?
We're still good on this slide. I'm just distracted by my own brain. So very quickly, how to do this. I'm going to deal with the emotional side, and then the next slide I'm going to go into the logistical. But the first thing that you will need to know is that you're not telling sob stories. Okay, so don't feel like you're doing this to make people feel sorry for you. There should be a learning in it, and there should be something that they can take away from it, but that doesn't mean that there needs to be a happy ending. The other thing you need to know about sharing personal stories is, trust me, nobody will laugh. And if they do, oh my God, you do not want them in your circle. Okay, so you will find your people if you share these vulnerable stories. And I'm not talking about necessarily a death in the family, but something that was difficult for you to do at work. We'll go through some more examples and some prompts later, more very briefly. And yeah, now we can go on to the next slide, please. So
And
we've done the
actually,
emotional.
an
Go ahead.
interesting fact is that through storytelling, through the stories you tell, you are releasing hormones in people's bodies. So if you
Really?
are, yeah, and that's quite interesting. So you're releasing happy hormones, and you release also some cortisol, which give people a jolt if there's a jump scare or something. So which makes people more attentive. And another interesting fact is that we remember things a lot better through stories. So when storytelling is just so amazing. Okay.
I didn't know that. I just do this because it works, but I love that there's some science behind why it works. And Kimberly, yes, please share about this tomorrow. That would be such a thrill if this live inspired that. Please tag me and Kirsten as well in the comments so that we see it. Beautiful. And so now you know it's okay to do this. Let's go on to the logistics. Sorry. We're going to talk about, I'm going to give you some story prompts. We're going to work with them. Those of you that have the workbook, these are all in the workbook. I will give a couple of tips though. Do not write on the day and kill your darlings. Now, why should you not write on the day? The reason is that you want to be sharing something that is close to your heart, and it's something that might need some processing. So you don't want to be writing it from an emotional point of view. You want the emotion in there, but you don't want to be writing it while you're emotional. So don't write on the day when it happened, and also don't write on the day that you're going to post. Let things rest. And that's, is that a bird, Kirsten, or was that?
Yeah, we've got some terribly screeching birds here in New Zealand. Well, we've got heaps of birds here, but that was a screechy bird. Yeah. I don't know the real name. I just call them screechy birds.
If somebody knows what the screechy bird was, I love to know these things. But yeah, don't write on the day, let things rest. All content is better if you let it rest. That's not to say never publish authentically or spontaneously, but with these kind of stories, it's really much better to let it rest. Kill your darlings. Now, this is not, I can't take credit for this. This is something that pretty much all editors will say. The things that you put in because you like how they sound, because you like the play on words that you did, or you like the metaphor that you did, that doesn't mean that everyone else will like them. So a couple of tips: if you choose one metaphor, keep to that metaphor. Don't start including loads of other metaphors just because you like how they sound. If your darlings are repeated, if you're saying something that you're really enjoying writing but it's not adding to the story, that's a darling. You want to take it out. So kill your darlings. I can talk to anyone who wants to know more about that on another day. But otherwise, let's go to the story prompts. So we've got a couple more slides to go over to the story prompts. You might want to get ready to screenshot everyone, but these again are in your workbook. So I'm going to ask Kirsten to reveal the story prompts that we're going to be using now, or I'm going to ask some of you if you can try and use these now. You don't have to chat them in, but try and do them while you're listening to us. Practice makes perfect, no? So some of these story prompts. When I was 18, I thought that I would be president of the universe. My first job was not what I expected. It was, and then you want to say something, maybe it was harder than you thought. Maybe it was easier than you thought. Nobody's done that. That would be new. If you said my first job was not what I expected, it was way easier than I thought, that would be a really unique story prompt. Sources, the last time I met with my whole team, I felt. Now with this one, just be careful that you're talking about other people and you want to be respectful of them. So if you are going to say, I felt disheartened, you want it to be because you felt that maybe you hadn't trained them well, or you hadn't given them all the tools they needed. You might want to go with something like, last time I met with my whole team, I felt elated because, and then below the fold, below the see more, you're going to have that story. The sources of sadness for professional writer, copywriter, content cat, whatever you are. And think to, this is such an easy one to do, think to all those times when you've hated something that your boss did or something that an adjacent team did. think of that and how it made you sad, how it makes you feel undervalued. That's such a good story and people really connect to it. A colleague told me what I needed to hear. Now, I don't even need to give you examples. You will all have something that a colleague has said to you that you went, I needed that. I needed someone to tell me, good or bad. And never will I forget the way I was trained to, and that could be, never will you forget the way you were trained to be quiet in meetings or not speak up or respect authority, or it might be something really positive. Never will I forget the way I was trained to project manage as a creative, and it's been something that's very useful to have as a creative. So those are some of the story prompts. Now, disclaimer on the next slide. Those are story prompts. They're not hooks. Okay. So when you see people doing these,
Can I go to the next slide?
Yeah, you could. Yes, please. Yeah.
Okay.
So I can have my little fish hooks, which are crucial to people remembering this point. The story prompts are not hooks. You see a lot of people putting hooks, and I've done this on LinkedIn, hooks that you can start a post with. Story prompts are different in the sense that they're meant to get you writing, but the hook is meant to get people reading. So the way you find the hook in your story is once you've written it, you want to take your most impactful sentence from the story and make that your hook, the most shocking thing or the biggest value thing. So I'm actually going to tell you all a story, a very short story using one of these story prompts. And I'm going to get you to chat in what you think the hook is, or chat in the hook for a story that you want to share tomorrow as like a teaser for everyone. So chat in, where do you think the hook is in this? What's the sentence that you would put at the top of the LinkedIn post to draw attention in? And we'll ask Kirsten afterwards which one she thinks is the best. There's probably more than one good answer. Here we go. So when I was 18, I thought I'd make it into publicity with a language degree. Of course, I was not taken seriously. I had to take courses in my free time. I'd always be justifying my academic route into marketing until I had a few years of experience under my belt, at least. Luckily, today, much of my work comes through referrals from people who know me, they watched me work, they know how I work, and they recommend me to other people. So I managed it, but no thanks to my undergraduate degree. Okay, and we're going to allow for the delay there as you all listen to that and tell me what you think the hook is. It doesn't have to be word for word, but what would you put as a hook, just as a good exercise there? And while you're all doing that, tell me what the hook is, chat it in. Can we go to the next slide, please? And talk about integrating skills into those hooks. Now, in the story that I told about being 18 and trying to get into, I wanted to be in publicity, I wanted to be in PR with just a language degree. I could still link that to the skills. So when you're storytelling on LinkedIn, you want to link it to the skills that you're going to be, that you want people to know you for. I'm loving some of these chats that are coming. No thanks to my management degree. No thanks to my degree. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I had something different in mind, so see if anyone else guesses it.
I also like the one too, I don't have natural rhythm, Kimberly, to then see what kind of story or what kind of lesson or outcome could you create in a post that tells that story? What learning would go from that kind of is relevant for your business now? I would really like to see that connection.
Yeah. I don't have natural rhythm. I mean, if I could link in an 8th grade flute to this, I think Kimberly can do this. I'd be fascinated.
Yeah, my mind is going 150 miles an hour again.
We're thinking how we could do it.
What story is behind this?
Don't leave us waiting, Kimberly. Tell us what would be the learning, what would be the skill you're going to highlight, because what we're talking about is you want to slip in mentions of what you do. I talked about I want to be in publicity, I want to be in marketing, I did manage it, now I get referrals. If I talk about getting referrals, that suggests that maybe I'm good at what I do, and people who have worked with me and seen me do it, they're like, yeah, she was okay, we could work with her again. So that's something that oh, Lonnie, I was just 18. You guys have all thought of hooks that weren't the one that I had in mind, but keep at it and see if you come up with the one that I was thinking that I would have put as the hook of this post. So think about the skills you want to highlight, exactly as Kirsten said. Kimberly, we're still waiting on this skill. We need to know what it is. The skills that you might want to highlight could be your dedication. We talked about tenacity, perseverance. They could be technical skills, like, okay, so I didn't really enjoy my first job in admin, but I got really good at Excel, and actually that's a very useful life skill for managing finances as a freelancer. Here we go, Kimberly. I talk about the skills of pattern recognition and practice makes an expert. What do you think of that, Kirsten?
Yeah. I like that, because yes, dance, there's pattern recognition. Of if you dance the waltz, you need to know the steps, and if you want to not to stumble across the dance floor, and practice, yeah, to kind of really get it into your brain so that you can automate it. Yeah,
It's a
love
really,
it.
it's coming up to be shaping up to be a good story. You must tag us in this. I'm so excited to see it. Yeah, and those are good skills as well. Pattern recognition, I haven't seen a lot of people talking about that. So that's pretty unique, at least in our circles.
Yeah.
And Lonnie, I never imagined this happening, but the referrals. So I'm going to tell you what actually what I think I would have put as the hook would have been, I was not taken seriously. That would have been my
Yay!
hook. Did you get?
Nice.
I should have asked you.
Yeah, no, it was mine as well. Yeah.
Great minds. Great minds, they say. Well, and with that, I'm going to just show you very briefly how I've done this on the next slide. If we can skip along one. This is a very recent post, but it is proof that telling stories is memorable. People will remember you because people have referred to Polly, who is this green version of me, more than once, quite a few times. So people do remember it. And what I did was I told a story. I'll read it out because I know it's tiny for all of you guys. I told a story about something personal and something that's personal to me. So I think reasonably unique, at least. Polly is my arch nemesis. Polly is my people pleaser. She comes with me in my pocket everywhere I go. And the 80s and 90s babies should get that joke. So my Polly gets very upset when I don't keep my word, look the part, please someone else, say the right article in Spanish, catch every typo. Writers, these are all stupid things to focus on. This is the point I was making. Focus on more than accuracy. You should be embarrassed by mediocrity, be ashamed of unoriginality, not typos and articles. It's just silly, and that's what AI can do. So my point was AI can catch these typos, and I made that point by opening up about the people pleaser inside of me that criticizes things about me and sits on my shoulder telling me that everything is bad. And a lot of people really like that. I think it's proof that stories can really sell, and personal posts do bring more people to your network. Polly is terrible, isn't she, Sam? Agreed. Words tell, but stories sell. Yeah, very true. And even if you're not looking to sell, you might just be here to build, to learn. I mean, I go on LinkedIn every single day and I learn something new. I'll talk about that really shortly. But this is, there's many things that we can be doing here. But yeah, if you want to be selling, stories make you much more memorable. And with that, my last slide for this section, I'd encourage everyone to tell a story, because you will be remembered, as all of you will remember this little guide because of the story. And that leads me into just mentioning that all of these things, the stories, if you do them well, okay, so you need to tell a story. Stories are memorable. You also need to tell it well. So there's a lot more than just telling a story. It needs to be about quality. If you do that, people will be citing your story years later. And I hand over to you, Kirsten.
Yeah. And also, never get tired to repeat a story, because who heard it in the first time might not listening the second time. And sometimes people need to hear a story more often. And when we were kids, we had these favorite stories that we wanted our parents to tell us again and again and again. So yeah, stories are great, a great way to remember as well. And that leads over to next slide.
May I jump in before we go? Because a LinkedIn user, I can't see who it is, but LinkedIn user that says it's tricky when you're doing therapy to share personal details and stories. Do you have any suggestions? I would go back to the point that you do need some distance from these things to be able to tell them. And the way I decide, is it okay for LinkedIn, is would I tell my coworkers this at the water cooler? So I might tell them about my holidays. I might tell them about a bad boss that I used to have, but I might not tell them about my childhood trauma. Do you know what I mean? Or I might do. It depends who you are as a person. But that's a gauge that you have to feel out with your own brand. And I actually bet you could contribute to that as well.
I always think you can tell people personal things. These are things like what you believe in, for example. What are your values? What happened during your day? Something that you like to share, and how you think about it. But then there's something about sharing private stuff where people also have a barrier where they maybe say, oh no, I don't really want to know this. I don't really want to go there. And also for you, how much you are exposing yourself. So you probably don't want to tell someone some totally private that doesn't need an audience. But if you need to talk about it, you need to do that with a very, very close friend or a therapist or something. But personal stuff, yes, it concerns me how I messed something up and what I learned from it. That's all good. Be vulnerable and say, hey, when I was 25 and at university, I totally messed this up. And that's a story that's quite relatable, because we all messed up something in our lives, and maybe that's where you get the connection point with other people. But be careful with private stuff, because not everybody's nice online, and especially if you are in a vulnerable phase, you don't want to get a backlash that you won't be able to deal with. And some people, they're a bit mean. Not so much on LinkedIn, but I've seen very mean
But there are
comments.
trolls even on LinkedIn. Yeah, it's true.
So, right, on that note, I want to, that's something I'm always talking about. I'm always talking about quality. So quality is quite important to me, because quality is something that endures. So being German and all that, so I once bought a water kettle in Germany. It lasted me literally 20 years. And then when I moved to New Zealand, I bought a new water kettle because the old one failed, and it lasted me 6 months. So quality really, really is important. And so I've listed here 4 C's. The 4 C's are kind of a copywriting thing. And when you write something, it's not necessarily for every little post that you do, but it's really quite great as a checklist. So when you say, is it compelling, that's basically content that your audience wants to read, that gives value and helps your audience with the transformation they are going through at the moment. So it speaks to the problem they're trying to solve. And also, if it's just interesting, if it's uplifting, if it makes them laugh, it may be educational, or it's connecting with them on an emotional level, like this story that you maybe messed something up or you struggled. And is it based on your values, or on their values, that you can connect on? Is it memorable? So that's with a compelling, basically, does it interest them? If it's not interesting, they zone out. Next one is concise. So that means, is it well written? So you don't want anything that has heaps of typos in there, or half-finished sentences and all that kind of stuff. I always say, at least read it with a little bit of distance what you're going to post, because you might find typos and other things that might not sound right. So it needs to be well written, no fluff and no filler. So you only have a certain amount of characters that you can use in a LinkedIn post, so use them wisely. And then it's easy to read and easy to understand. That means also stay away from some jargon that some people might not understand. So that's concise. Next one, clear. Is it well structured? It's always easier to read something that has a good structure, that follows your thought process. Same with a story. A story has a storyline. If you don't follow the storyline and jump backwards, forwards, it gets too confusing, and people just zone out. So you need to present your ideas with clarity. And the last one here is it credible? Credibility is something so super important also on a platform like LinkedIn, because you want to establish yourself as an expert. And especially when you write educational posts, or when you're sharing your knowledge, you need to make sure that is real knowledge, that it's well researched, that it's maybe tested, that it's validated or evaluated, and that it's based on your knowledge and insights that you've made on your years of experience and expertise. So I think that's very, very important to be for information to be credible. You don't just spout something that you've just read half an hour ago on Facebook. So just make sure that it's some good stuff that you're sharing. So maybe you want to pop in the chat now, what defines quality content for you? What must a piece of content have, so that you don't just scroll on and skip it? Right, I'm moving to the next slide while you are thinking about this. And um, there's one thing which is quite prominent at the moment, that's AI. So when we talk about quality and AI, I think we could have another session on that. Um, you the quality you get out of something like ChatGPT reflects the quality of your prompt and what you put in. If you just
So true.
say something like, give me an outline of LinkedIn Live to talk about quality content, then it will come up with something. But if you give it lots of information, that what you consider should be in there, and what maybe some a blog post that you've written, put it in there, you get much better output. So that just on the eye. So what have we got here? Samantha says authenticity, a good story, a lesson. Yes, I can say yes to all of that. Authenticity is something that is quite hard to achieve, and very often we don't know where to start with that.
Mm.
A good story, absolutely. Nadine talked about that a lot. And a lesson, yes. When you write a good piece of content, you should always think about what's the goal, what's the purpose of writing. And
Mhm.
I have a writing process I want to share with you, and I think it's actually step number one. So yeah, Trevor says, oh, let me just share this. My FF content is business focused and reflecting true innovation. It's hard to find. Yes, when you have a certain interest, you don't always find the right content that you want to see. And I totally agree. Okay.
Yeah. Not quality
Needs to be.
content, is it, at the end of the day?
Yep. Okay. So let's move to the next. Did I already move to the next slide? Yeah. Writing great content. I just got out of sync here somewhere. I think I just forwarded the slides, and I don't know if I'm already on this slide. Yes, I am on this slide. So back to this one.
Mhm.
Yeah, so quality content in a way can become evergreen content because you can reuse it, you can repurpose it, you can reshare it. So think with that in mind. So quality content goes a lot further. It also it helps your audience with the transformation. That's actually why people are here, while they're reading your content. They ask themselves, what's in it for me? They invest the time, and you want to pay them with something they're getting out of this. So there's a personal development factor, and that plays into that. So you want to help with good content, you want to help your audience be successful. So that also possibly taps into your purpose. So when your purpose is in the areas of, I want to help making other business owners more successful, then that plays into that. And yeah, it covers topics that your audience is passionate about. When you share good knowledge, it builds your brand and your reputation, which I find quite important. And also, one little thing, when you write a post, sometimes you get these amazing comments on your post. Take a screenshot of them and create a file with that, because when you're writing a sales page, stuff like that is really good on a sales page. So that just on the side. And last one here, yeah, emotion. A good post connects with the emotions of a person. So they think about it, take away a thought. So they just don't read the content and walk away. It stays with them. It lingers with them. So then the transformation. I just wanted to pick that up. Transformation is very often people want to be or become someone. We all have personal development goals. We are unfinished as we are at the moment. So maybe we want to become a better writer, or become a healthier person, or become a better partner, a better parent, a better educator, whatever it is. If you can get content that helps you with that, that's great. Then content, it's to have something. So that could be to create revenue, to have more money, to have better insights, to create a program, or develop better capabilities, or write a book. So to have something at the end of the transformation, then also to build skills and knowledge. So with the information you share, you help your audience succeed. You're creating skills that allow them to progress to the next level. And then we have helping yourself to succeed, of course, through your content, because if you share value, you get known for sharing value. And one thing is to uplift people. So sometimes people are a bit on the dumps, and when they read a nice story, uplifting the mood is really quite important. So much about transformation. Then topics that make people succeed. And we have some things here which people usually want, and that's saving time, because we have just not infinite amounts of it. Want to save money, want to earn money, build capabilities, and personal growth. So these are things that help people succeed, make them feel successful as well. So if your content leads to that, all the better. Then Trevor shared with us what the kind of content that he likes to see at the moment about business growth and things like that. So you need to know your audience quite well. You need to know what they are interested about, and then you can tell the stories. You can share some real life experiences. You can share some values and beliefs. So because we as humans, we like to hang out with people who have the same values and believe in the same things. You could also share something about trending topics, maybe something like pronouns. I'm not going to talk about this now because it's a very kind of touchy
topic. Large topic.
Yeah, or problem solution. So find out what your audience is passionate about, what they want to know, and then talk about it. So that you can actually serve them what they crave. That's quite important. And then so how do you make your content go further? And that's a sign of quality. So when you think about it, it's really important to think about repurposing. So when you repurpose, and there's actually an upcoming workshop next month on repurposing, resharing, and recycling that I'm going to hold. So, but when you repurpose your content, it's really good if you create one piece of long form content, whatever it is, a podcast or a blog post, and then you can make little tweaks. You can chop it into bits. You save a lot of effort, and then you can schedule it out over your week, over the month. So when some people say, I don't like writing long form content, try it out. It saves you so much time in the long run, because you can chop it to so many different pieces and just take one quote from it and create a whole post on it. So then with resharing, is that content, for example, if you're on different platforms, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Pinterest, that's stuff that you can take one-to-one and just share it somewhere else without much effort. And if you have the right tools, you can automate that even. And then we have recycling, and that's content that you've basically shared before. And then after a few months, you look at it and say, hey, I might tweak this a little bit, but this was actually a good post, because you look at your data and your stats and you reshare it. So if you create quality, then you are able to do all that, and that saves you a heap of time. And so that here on this slide, it says you need to kind of have a good structure to your content. That's quite important. Even if you think, oh no, I'm creative, I just want to go with the flow, and I would just want to write. Yes, that's all good and nice, but then also it can be very confusing for people, because they don't see how your idea or how your thoughts develop in the post that you're writing. And try out both things. Try long form, but then also maybe take that and create short form and play around with it. And also with the formatting and how whether you need to tweak it a lot to get something from Instagram to LinkedIn and the other way around. So that's you can do that with quality content, because you can take a good longer post from LinkedIn and shorten it to have a caption for Instagram, for example.
Spot on. Yeah. But yeah, and you can do this with long form content, but it's just going to be absolute rubbish once you've, if it's not good quality content in the first place, and then you're trying to turn it into a reel, you're eventually going to get frustrated with the process and just feel like, God, this is like, that's being on the content treadmill that, you know, people talk about. You're not going to enjoy the process if it wasn't good in the first place. It's just like reliving something that you are not proud of. So do one long piece really well, as Kirsten says. That's a really good help.
Yeah. And that, I mean, I find that is the idea. And also think about what you like doing. So if you're a person who likes to do video, then do a video, and that you can get the script of that video. And then you can turn it into a blog post quite easily. You've got it there already. You just need to edit it. And technical stuff is so advanced now that you can easily do that. I think you might even try ChatGPT and say, hey, this is the script from a video. Can you turn that into a blog post? And then see where
it's original content.
Yeah, it's original. It's your original content. So you can cut a few corners, but in the first place, you need what I'm going to talk about right now, which is a process. And I'm a little bit of a nerd about it, but and I've written content many different ways, but especially when creating long form content. Oh, Trevor says his live streaming transcripts are nuts. Yes,
Pop them into ChatGPT just for an experiment, because I want to see what it does with it.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking at these comments that you guys are just making me smile so much. Susanna, yeah, Nikki, it's good to be different, exactly as Susanna says. So yeah, but all of these things by being different are going to help repurposing a lot.
Yes. So yeah, with a process, I mentioned that before. Step number 1, to define your goal and why should the reader care. So that is the most important thing that you need to think about. Why should they care? If I talk about that my dog has a sore paw, then why should your reader care? It can be that they care, but you need to build a compelling story about that.
Talking about a poorly dog, yeah.
Like I did last week, I really did. Yeah. But that was relevant for me because my dog had a cancer scare last week. So I had to take him to the vet, and at his advanced age of 11 years, he had to be neutered because he had testicular cancer. So for me, that took me off my game for the day, basically. And that was something that was quite important for me at the moment. So why should the reader care? The reader cares because I got so many uplifting messages on comments, and it's also sharing the message, hey, it's okay if you're not at your top every day. You know, that's why the reader cares, because then you see all the positive comments and also admitting, hey, I'm not great today, I'm having a terrible day. Everyone, it makes you human. So find that thing that why should your reader care. Then what I like to do next is that I do some brainstorming and keyword research. So you have your topic, and then I like mind maps. I'm a total nerd about them, so I create a mind map.
No, you're very talented with mind maps. You have a talent that the rest of us don't have. That's what it is.
Oh no, it's just that I've been using them for many years. So it's like the same with a flute. You just need to practice.
You do it for a few years, you're good at it. Yeah.
Yeah. So just drop everything that comes into your head. Drop it in the mind map, and then also look for keywords. There are different ways of researching keywords. I'm not going to go into them, but especially if you want to reshare to platforms like Pinterest. or to Instagram, where the hashtags matter a lot, then or your website, if you're writing a blog, for example, you need to know your keywords there as well. So that's the place when you do it, the time when you do it. Now I've got this huge mind map, and now I want to structure it. So I find header topics, and then I sort all the ideas into different buckets, basically, to say, okay, this could go under the heading SEO. So when I would search for keywords or hashtags and stuff like that. So you sort those ideas that you just plopped on there into bigger buckets that function like subheaders. Now you've got your subheaders and some comments underneath. What you do next is that you structure that. So you think, okay, how could this post develop? What do I talk about first? That leads to what? So you get up and create a structure and order your ideas so that you establish some flow that takes you through the article. Then sometimes you have some stuff that you say, okay, it's nice to have, but I take it out. So cut out the fluff, cut out this stuff that maybe save it for another post, but really leave the bare minimum of what you need to bring your point across. Then you write. Sometimes I get crazy when I write. I just switch everything off. I don't even hear the doorbell going or anything. I just write. Once I'm done, wow. I step away. I leave it as it is and never edit and write at the same time. I have to say that again and again. Your first draft is rubbish. It's always rubbish. But then comes the beauty. That comes point number 3, proofreading and editing. And I can't emphasize enough, that's the part where you where the quality comes out, where you inject the quality into your writing. It's the proofreading and editing. You see, oh, does it make sense? Does it flow? Are there confusing sentences in there? And especially if you stepped away for an hour, at least you get back to it with a fresh mind, and then you catch all the stupid things that you have missed. So, yeah, so Amber says, if I don't write it down, it's gone. That's why you have the mind map. You write the stuff down and it's not gone. So, and with that, I move on to the next slide. And guess what?
Yeah, another process.
Nadine.
Oh, goodness.
And when you write this good stuff, then here it comes. People start engaging with you.
That's what you want to happen, right? I know at the beginning some people were saying how frustrated they were that people weren't commenting or engaging with them. I want to make a little caveat here. We're going to talk about process to engage to complement the killer process. If you missed that last slide, obviously there'll be a replay of this, guys, but also if you ask me or Kirsten to get on our email list, we'll be sending all of this out afterwards as well. But that process that she has for creating a post, you could apply that to like any content. It's a killer process that would just do with anything, not just LinkedIn, but engaging is LinkedIn. And I will say there's such a thing called drive-by consumers, or that's what I call them. I've decided to call them drive-by consumers, people that just drive by but they don't comment. They're just like, bye. So they see your stuff and they go, and I can't tell you how many leads I've got like that, people that don't comment, or maybe they're liking, but I'm not really seeing it, but they're not even liking most of the comments. And even some of my friends will say, oh, I love what you're doing on LinkedIn. And I'm like my posts, so I know that you saw it. But we are creating for those people who don't engage as well. That said, you want to be an active engager if you're going to grow on LinkedIn, because A, you learn, B, you make friends. All of these people in these comments, like 90% of you are people that I would call a friend. Some of you are new friends that I just haven't met yet. So this is like something that we're doing here. It's a nice, what would be like a secondary symptom of being on LinkedIn, is that you make friends. I learn loads. I'll tell you one thing I've learned on here, and I don't think she's in the comments, but Kirsten taught me how to fold clothes. And that is not that I didn't know how to fold clothes before. She taught me a genius way to fold clothes, and I'll drop that in the DM if anyone wants it. Yes, the lurkers, Rachel, exactly. So you learn loads to expand your job opportunities, even if you're not looking. I've said this on a post before, start engaging, even if you're not posting, start engaging today and follow these processes, build your way up to the posting, because you're going to expand your job opportunities. A lot of people won't be seeing your posts, even if you are posting every day, but they will see it when you comment on their profile. You build rapport, and that's just a good life skill. So show up for your community. You know, they're doing it for you. And on to the next slide, if we can. So I've told you why you should engage. I'm going to now tell you how you should engage. And there's a very simple plan. We're going to go through starter plan, growth plan, and advanced plan, which could be a 3-week power up, as Kirsten suggested that it should be, but also it depends on whether you feel ready. So start with the starter plan if you've never been doing this before. People like, you know, Sam, Nikki, Trev, you need to be on the advanced plan. Like, you could ignore me for 10 minutes while I talk. But if you've never been posting before, start on the starter plan. When you feel ready, move up to the growth plan, and that could be per week, per month. So if you can show the starter plan, please, Kirsten. We're on to the next slide, and I'm going to be talking about a process that you can follow. This is again in the workbook, so you can tick it off, but I'll read through what you can do and why I think you should be doing these things on each day. Let's say day 1, day 2, day 3 is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Sunday, whatever days that you feel that you can be doing this consistently. On day 1, you want to consume 10 posts. So you want to start off as a drive-by consumer, react to them at the very least, and choose the best 3 and ring the creator's bell. You're going to then get notifications, as many of you know, saying, Kirsten Back just published something, Nadine just put something out. And then you're going to see when you get fresh content from that person. You can always take that bell off if they get boring, because I talk about my cats a lot and you might not want that. So ring the bell, don't feel afraid, then you can take it off later. But what you're doing is training the algorithm. Same thing on day 2. Consume 10 posts on your feed, react, comment on your 3 favorites at the very least. Even if you're just starting out, you can comment on 3 favorites. And as much as we joke about the great post comment, honestly, none of us creators mind it. We're like, thank you for telling us it's a great post. Even if it wasn't the most original comment, we're still happy to have it. You're teaching the algorithm what you like. So it's going to show you better things on the feed the next day. And while you're doing that, you can take inspiration maybe from these posts and write down one thing. I always talk about, if you know one thing, you can post, you can start posting. So does anyone here not know one thing? Please chat that in. Like, everyone knows one thing. So you can say, well, what do I know? Okay, so say I'm not working at the moment, but I did work before and I studied and I have life experience. Or maybe say I don't know, I want to connect with young mothers, but I don't have children at the moment, but I have friends with young children. You know what I mean? You must know one thing about that subject that you can write about. So thank you that you're here for the toast and avocado content, Sam. So write down one thing that you know. You don't have to post it yet, but write it down. And as Kirsten says, proofread the next day, let it rest, come back to it. And that's your day 3. Come back to that one thing and write a post with that text post. Write a text post. You can add a photo if you want, but that's advanced. But at least write a text post with that thing that you wrote down. Respond to people's comments. You need to sit there and babysit your post. A lot of people say spend 30 minutes, but there's no fixed time, but you do need to be responding to people so that they see, okay, within like the same day, Nadine responded to my comment. That means that I'm having a real conversation with her. That's going to make them feel closer. And that means you're getting proper relationships, which is what we're here for, out of your own post. And also comment on another 3 creators post. That's your week 1.
Just one little thing. I think the LinkedIn algorithm recently changed something. So with the notifications, because I noticed that usually when you posted something, you got notifications when someone commented on your post. And now it doesn't do that very much. Sometimes you get a notification and you see that 10 people commented already and you say, oh gosh, where was I? So that babysitting is quite something. If you have an important post that you want to push a bit, then you need to go in a few times and just check, because the algorithm doesn't do that for you anymore. It's quite
sometimes
annoying.
You need to do it manually. And for a few people the bells don't work. So I'll say someone, Zineb Layachi, that's probably not how you say her name at all, but Zineb's bell has never worked, and I have to go in manually every time to see her post. Whereas, for example, Kirsten, your bell always works. I don't know. The algorithm's not always on our side, guys. So You have to work around it. And I am going to answer Lonnie's question about start posting selfie comments, which is in the workbook. Can we clarify that? So I'm going to say that start posting selfie comments. One thing people don't know is that you can attach an image to a comment. So you can reply to somebody and say, this is great, this was really useful, thank you. Or you can actually attach an image of yourself. So if you have like selfies, people will start seeing your face. You don't even have to share the selfies in your feed as a post. You can just share it as a response if it's like a smiling selfie because you liked it or whatever, or you can add a GIF. There's so many different things that you can do. I think a lot of people just don't know that on the right-hand side, so your right-hand side, of course, there is a button to add an image. And if you add that, you're going to start familiarity. So little detour, we'll talk about, we've gone through the starter plan. I'd now like to talk about the growth plan, which most of you guys should be doing this at this point. If you're on this live and you're chatting away in the comments, you should be doing this. Start adding hashtags. Excuse me. Start adding hashtags to your profiles. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong one. Comment on 10 creators' posts. So now you're not just commenting on 3, take it up to 10 creators, babysit your own post comments. And that means that you need to be posting now on your day 1. Tag people you know into the comment sections. So you can start doing this, but bear in mind that you don't want to do it on every single post because you are going to tank your reach. A way that you can do it without tanking your reach is doing it in other people's posts. So taking the example, I see that Kirsten publishes something amazing and it's advice for, writers, budding writers. I tag in a budding writer. Hey, new writer, you should look at this. That's a really good way to engage and give something back. It doesn't necessarily mean in your own comment sections. Day 2, again, could be Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever day you do this, comment another 10 company page posts. Company page posts. This is unusual because they will stand out so much more than creators posts because company pages always struggle for engagement. So look at, you could go to like Writewise or the word Distiller. You'll see that people are posting consistently. And if you comment on that, you'll get the company's attention. You want to do that for places that either you want to work or you just admire their content. Next step is to ring the bells of 3 nano influencers. I think you can all Google that term if you don't know what it means. So you want to be adding to the bells, training the algorithm, and return the likes on your posts. So go through the people that are not commenting, go through the likes and see who's liked it, and go back to their page and see what they posted recently. Company page posts, I know, head blown. Sorry, okay, I won't get Trevor started. Change your feed to recent. This is in your day 3. Again, another little, it's not a trick, it's like a functionality that people don't know about. At the top of your feed, you can see top posts or recent, and it's a little drop-down menu. If you change it to recent, you're going to start responding to people. If you comment on them, they just posted. So they're probably still babysitting their posts. They're probably still online. So comment on those and continue to engage with recent posts. That will mean you're not just getting things because they already have 100,000 likes. Engage with 3 large influencers on this day. So you're varying who you engage with, and start posting selfie comments. As I've explained, that's something that you can do. Maybe this isn't for everyone. Share a picture of your cats, share a picture of what you're doing for the weekend. Go through on Social Saturday and see people will be saying, hey, what are you doing today? And rather than saying, oh, I'm going shopping, post a picture of your shopping. Do you know what I mean? So engage in different ways with multimedia. And that's part of the growth plan. Now, I have talked a lot, so I'm going to go quickly through advanced plan. If anyone has any questions on this or disagrees with anything, obviously chat in. And we'll either respond to you now or later. But here we are. Add hashtags to your profile. That's something that you just need to do so that people can find you better. You're now in sort of creator mode. Adding hashtags to your profile means what you talk about usually. Engage with creators who share those hashtags. Then fix your engagement time. You didn't need to do this before, but now it's a really good idea that you're posting regularly, you're engaging regularly. You want to be saying, I usually engage at around 7 p.m. or 7 a.m. or whatever it is. That means you're going to be seeing similar people. You're going to strengthen the bonds that you have with them. It's not just about getting to more people and, quantity, it's quality over quantity. Day 2, leave 10 comments that generate conversation. You have to think about that one. So it's not just leaving comments like, that's great post, thanks so much. It needs to be something that generates a conversation. So ask a question. Disagree with people. A lot of us don't mind that. And turn your best post so far into a LinkedIn article. That's a really good skill. If anyone wants walking through, just drop me a line and I can send you like a Loom video or something. But essentially it's at the top where instead of post, you go to write an article and then you can add in images, and it's got a very basic formatting structure. And engage in a trending topic. That's, you want to be looking through those hashtags again. Day 3, this is getting scary, right? Because you're advanced. So set up a live audio event like we're doing with a friend. It could be just audio, it doesn't have to be video. And do that. Share candidly, share some stories, bring some stories that you can share. Struggles, even better. And respond to all the comments after the live, as we will obviously be doing. So on to my last slide. The reason I say that you should be doing all of these things as a process is because you need to make it a routine. And I do this and it works. I know a lot of people do. You want to habit stack commenting. So think about, okay, every time I have my morning coffee, that's when I do my 10 comments on posts. And you want to habit stack DMing. So I always make sure that I respond to my DMs before I log off for the evening. So habit stack DMing with getting yourself to inbox 0 or whatever your closing down process is. Habit stack post babysitting. So when you post, you need to have it stack that you babysit it. But I'm not saying that you need to actually have it stack posting, because you can automate that and you can plan it. And of course, Kirsten is going to talk about how you can plan posting much better.
Gosh.
I need a break. I'm sorry, guys.
That was so valuable, because there's so much stuff in there, and actually what you just said, it really works, because I gave it a go. I really tested while we were planning. I was testing your processes here in the background, and they really work. They're actually quite good. So the last topic that I wanted to talk about with you are content calendars. And for me, even as a content copywriter, I didn't have one for a very long time. So I would like to know, does any of you have a content calendar, or you plan to have one? Where are you with this?
Yeah, and where do you do it? Like, do you do it in Notion or a Google Sheet? Or
yeah,
I used to, do you know, I used to do this, Kirsten? I used to write posts and email them to myself and say like, post that, like if it was something that I needed to do on a certain day, like this is a Saturday post because I'm not talking about work, I would be like, post Saturday, and email it to myself and then snooze it until Saturday. It was the most basic manual, but that's how I started.
Yeah. So, I mean, the thing is, the biggest thing about having a bit of a content calendar is that you take the randomness out of your posting, and you're getting more strategic, and that's one, as a strategy obsessed person, that is so important, because we working towards a goal. We have a goal that we want to achieve. If you just do things randomly, you might end up in a totally different place. But if you are more strategic, then you can work towards that, and that every post that you make, or maybe not every post that you make, is kind of geared towards achieving your goals. So, and also you're moving people through the customer's journey, so that in the beginning you connect with people who have never heard of you, so that you need to build them up. You need to show them that you're really the expert, and you can have some processes in place and some systems that support you in that, so that you save time, and you kind of can be really creative as well. You're staying on brand, which I find quite important, that you stay on brand and on topic, and write about what your people want to know about, not just that you've discovered a new book which is totally unrelated, and you talk about that and your audience says, what's this? So it saves you a lot of brain power as well to do that. So I like that, because my brain gets worn out over the day, despite the fact that I take lion's mane in the morning. But so that's one thing. You're being strategic, and that's a really big advantage with having a content calendar. Now, that is the next one. So you need to kind of figure out a strategy that works for you, and that also digs into how much can you do. So can you post every day? Is that feasible? How much time do you have? What do you want to post? What is easier for you to create? If you're really quick with video creation, then by all means go for that predominantly. If you're a better writer, or maybe like to have audio events, whatever you like, or create carousels because you've got so many slides available that you can use, then do that. And also say, okay, how many times a week do I want to post? Schedule that in, because if it's not scheduled, it's not happening. So think about that a little bit. What makes sense for you? What is your sweet spot? And don't force yourself to do something that you feel really uncomfortable with. For me, it took a lot of guts to really get into doing videos and stuff. That was really scary for me. And then think about the different posts that you have, that you write. Is it an educational post? Vary them a bit, putting it up a story, maybe an engagement post like a poll. So you can use all the tools, the creators tools that are available for you on LinkedIn, to mix it up a bit and keep it interesting.
I'd love to know how people responded to your videos, because you say that it wasn't something that was natural to you. And for me, it was kind of like, oh, I just feel like I need to do this now. So how do people react when you sort of forced yourself to do this?
Well, to be honest, my first videos, they were so cringeworthy. It was.
But what did people say? Were they nice to you, or were they like, oh, we're glad to see you on video?
Yeah. Trevor says he's committed to LinkedIn's ugliest carousels. Yay to that. That takes a lot of courage. That's a brand. So people were really nice to me, but I had to learn to. But I think a lot of people zoned out as well, because I just got into. Wanted to put too much in there, and they say, "Oh, here's all my knowledge." Bang! Here it is, and then people say, "Whoa, what's this?" So I'm toned down already. Just if you're wondering. It used to be a lot worse, but
I've so many smart people have that issue. I know Nikki Diven, who was here in the comments as well, was saying that it's like, I want to share everything with you all at the same time, and it was like, no, Nikki, because our brains can't handle it.
Yeah.
You have to give us like little nuggets that we can absorb, you know.
Yeah. So I mean, this is something. It's a curse, I think, but the more you practice it, the more familiar you get with it. And actually, me running my membership has been really good for me, because I plan the lives and I go lives, and now I'm not scared of the camera anymore. I even did a coaching course on being on camera and all that stuff. Not that I do every single thing, but it has taken a little bit of away of the fear. So that's quite good. So right, let me move to the next slide here. Yeah, so this is an interesting one with tools and processes, because it's not just about the we have to jump through a few loops for creating content. And what I see that many people, they get blocked when they say, oh, what should I even talk about? What are the topics that people like? So I can refer you, if you can see the recording of the first live that we did about content pillars. That's something. So I also have a matrix, a spreadsheet for generating topics, and if they are based on your content pillars, then you can create really hundreds, and I'm not lying here, hundreds of post topics, and then pull one a day. You can pull them out, and you've got, so generating topics should not be an obstacle for you. And that's something that you can systemize really, really well. Then collecting topics, that's something that I find interesting as well. So as you walk through your day, and you go shopping, and there is a toddler throwing itself on the floor because mom doesn't give it a sweet, and screams its head off, then you could say, hey, how can I, this is an event, I had that in the old days. Can I turn that into a story? How can I relate that to my business? Or maybe it's when you've read a book and you think about something, there's a thought in a book that interests you. You can turn that into a post. You can add that to your list, because you think this is really a valuable kind of thought that my audience might be interested in. So you can take that. And then batch creation, long awaited, that's been up a few times in the comments already. Batch creation is something that is quite interesting. So when you have a content calendar, it makes it a lot easier for you to batch create, because then you have maybe for the week, you create your topics for the week, put it in the calendar, and then you know what you have to write about. So you're taking that hurdle. You can say, I write these 3 posts today, and you've got the topics, you know, this is going to be a carousel post, this is going to be a poll, this is going to be a selfie post, and maybe this is a sales post. Then you've got your post, what you write. It makes it a lot easier to batch create, because you know exactly what you are creating. You know the topics that you're creating. You know where the materials are that you need for that post. You've got your structure and your process, how you want to create. That makes batch creating an awful lot easier. So without further ado, I'm sharing this with you. So this is just an example of a content calendar. Your content, you could have a content calendar in Trello, for example, or you can have it. This is an Excel one, which I use and which I like because of the simplicity, and I've color coded it even for my purposes. So I have, for example, the ugly peachy color here is my Mondays, because I'm forcing myself to go live post a little video on Mondays, and it's a spontaneous post that I do on Mondays. So you often see me kind of breathing heavily, slowing up a hill with my dogs when I do my Monday post. So that's spontaneous. I just get on my phone, I just talk for 2 minutes about a thought that popped into my mind. Then for example, on a Wednesday, I have my word wrangling posts. These are content and copywriting relating tips that I always do them on a Wednesday, so people can rely on that on Wednesday they get a copywriting tip. And I've got quite a few tips listed and topics listed that I can talk about. Then on a Friday, I usually have my content community posts, because I like to make other people shine as well, and I give people an opportunity to share their profiles, their posts, their whatever they created on that Friday. I tag an awful lot of people on Fridays, so that's my tagging day, really. Possibly, I don't know whether it screws my algorithm, but generally people like to respond
No, there are ways
my
to do
Friday
it.
posts.
There are good ways to do it. And I think the way is, guys, don't do it on every single post, and don't tag exactly the same people. Kirsten's tagging people in for a reason, to say, it was lovely to meet you this week. I'd love you to share something. And that's the other thing. You don't just want to be like tagging me, who's a content person, on like an operations post. I'm going to really struggle to interact with it, or like US politics. I don't know if I can have an opinion. So tag with purpose, with what's the word? With purpose, like a reason to do it.
Yeah, there's a reason there. So you can have different categories for posts, for example, that you say, one day I'm writing an education post. That's my Wednesday, the knowledge sharing, but the copywriting tips, for example. Then you can have a story post where you connect with your audience through stories. You can have a sharing post where you share something about your business. So this could be maybe a value that you have, one of your business values. So one of mine is obviously quality. So sometimes I talk about quality, or that is something. Or you say, oh, here's a process I have in my business which has made me a lot more effective. So share something about the business. Or it could be a quick engagement post, like a poll, for example. And then, not to forget, 20 to 30% of your posts should be some promotional sales posts. So if you're posting 7 days a week, then you have one post a week which is a bit of a salesy post. So I dedicated my Tuesdays to being salesy and promoting to overcome that hurdle, that I don't really like to put myself out there, say, buy my stuff. But if I put it in my content calendar, I can also write a soft sell post where I say, but I wanted to commit to it and say, hey, on Tuesdays, because I never say hey guys, I'm open for business. That's what I do on the Tuesdays, for example. So like that, you can create a calendar. And I like to schedule my posts out for a week in advance, and then I block off my Monday where I batch create my posts. And then I use a scheduling tool, or LinkedIn has native scheduling as well. You can't schedule everything in LinkedIn. And all the scheduling tools, they are also a little bit like, some are better, some depending on which platforms you use. You can schedule out your posts. And the good thing is, yes, you need to babysit your posts, but you don't need to go through the whole, oh God, I need to post, and where's the picture and all that kind of stuff. If you batch create them, put them up in your scheduling tool, you're done with that for the week. And that's a really beautiful thing. And then you can focus on your engagement and growth, rather than putting out those this posts. So this was it from me, and I think we're ready to wrap up for the day. I hope this was, maybe drop in a comment whether you hated or liked it. That would be nice.
Yes, that would be lovely. It would be really good to hear what people thought of this, whether it was useful, because it was a bit of a long one, but my goodness, I think you saw how fast we were trying to go to get through everything. And I was saying to Kirsten before this, I don't think we're going to need an hour and a half. But you guys were chatting in so much that really helped. I hope we answered some of the questions. And yeah, this calendar example, you can get it from the workbook. I think I'd said, I hope this was useful. And
oh yeah, let me just
and yeah, well, I mean, I think there's the last couple of things that we can talk about. Maybe I'll just mention who I am. If you've listened all this way, I presume you're interested in who we are as people more than just what we mentioned. You can find me at Rightwiser, or you can find me just on my profile if we're not already connected. I say I come here because I really enjoy the networking, and I really enjoy being meeting new people and learning from you all. If I can teach you something back in exchange, then that's a huge win. So yeah, Rightwiser. If you know anyone that's looking to get their voice out to their ideal audience, let's talk about working together, put them in touch with me. But the one thing I want you to do for me, if you watched all this way, in exchange for my ramblings, would be to follow Rightwiser and subscribe to my newsletter. And thank you.
Yes, and famous last words from me. I'd like to point out that next, I will announce it very quickly. Officially, I'm creating a workshop on with another amazing lady called Francisca Sore, who's a repurposing expert. And we're going to create a workshop that is from beginning to end, how to create high quality posts in detail, how all the processes you need and everything, up to creating your own repurposing system, so that it makes your content creation and repurposing a lot better, a lot faster, and higher quality here again. And the other thing is, if you're more interested in more copy and content writing tips and tricks, I've got this membership now that I wanted to promote here officially. All the deeds are in the slide here, or ask me. I'd love for you to join there, and that we can get dig into some things that you want to know about content or copywriting, and I can help you with that. So with that, if there are no questions.
There's a lot of people thanking us. So yeah, lovely to see so many people that they got a lot out of this. And I want to highlight Kimberly's comment. This was a really quality live event. So maybe we should repurpose it. Maybe we should turn it into tweets and Instagram shorts on YouTube.
Definitely. So I think I even uploaded to my website as a free resource.
Fantastic.
Okay, thank you for being here. This has been amazing, and for kind of being so active with the comments and everything. I really appreciate it. And for you making the time to turn up and staying with us for 1.5 hours, that is a lot. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. For the people that stayed up late as well for us. Yeah, thank you. It's been lovely to see this. I've enjoyed this so much. So thank you, Kirsten.
Thank you, Nadine, for being here with me.
And we streamed correctly this time.
Yeah. See you. I end the stream now. Bye for now.
Bye.